What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Spotlight on Elemental Arts with your host for the evening, Eagle Death. Just want to let y'all know we got 2 more episodes, so you don't have to hear me on this terrible mic anymore. I'm so grateful for that. Just want to thank everybody sticking around for another episode. Really appreciate it. For this week's guest, we welcome onto the show Chicago-born and Denver-based artist. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Connor Cogswell, also known as Die by the Sword.
Yeah, I'm a smart water diehard, so.
Hey man, you gotta try this body armor water, man. It's fire. It's got like the highest pH level that you can like get to.
I don't know, man. It would take a lot. I'm loyal. It's been many years.
So what's up, man? Tell people who you are.
Yeah, my name is Connor Cogswell. You probably know me by Die by the Sword. Been making 140 for the past 4 or 5 years. Same with playing shows. Lived in Chicago, Illinois. Starting out, now I live just outside of Denver, Colorado. No better place to be. Everybody's quick to assume that it was the music, but really it was just because there wasn't much else to do in Chicago aside from go out and drink, go out and eat. I mean, the food's incredible, but I was really just looking for nicer weather, change of scenery, and Colorado does a damn good job at that. So,
Man, I 100% feel that. Like, that's exactly how I felt about living in Florida. I mean, back in Florida, the only thing there was to do is go to the beach, get fucked up, and go party and eat. Because the food is definitely better back in Florida, but I love Colorado as a whole.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people are quick to shame the food out here. And really, it's just because Colorado is, like, at this point, mostly transplants, and that's why the food doesn't really have any, like, culture behind it. Yeah. So, obviously, like, Florida, you're going to have seafood, you're going to have a bunch of good eats. Chicago, obviously, known for the pizza, known for the dogs, grill food, stuff like that. But I wasn't going to keep food as a reason
as a holding point
to stay. Yeah.
Yeah, like, don't get me go hold you by food.
Don't get me wrong. I take my time getting around to my spots when I go home.
I feel that.
Portillo's.
When I go to Detroit, that's how I am. Like, if I go back to Detroit, I'm getting a Coney dog. I'm getting a Reuben. And I gotta get a corned beef sandwich. You know, I gotta make sure that I get all the stuff I can't get back here.
Right, man. Yeah, but all in all, moved out here just because 300 days of sunshine, mountains, whatnot, compared to, you know, Illinois, where the weather is miserable aside from maybe 90 days a year, and it's the second flattest state in America behind Florida. So there's that, if you didn't know. I'm sure you did know.
It's been windy here lately, but not like over there.
That's right.
So what got you going to making music, man? How'd you get started with this?
Well, with dubstep, you know, that's one thing. It goes all the way back until I got my first guitar when I was 10 years old. In middle school, I played violin, then trumpet, then baritone in a jazz band.
That's where you were in band in school too?
I was until high school, and then I, you know, gave it up. And they had their qualms. Apparently, like, the conductor had talked to my dad and was like, yeah, this is a huge mistake. Like, he's got a full ride through college if he, like, progresses in high school. And I was more so like, yeah, that's cool, but, like, I don't want to do that. So what's it worth if that's not what I want? Yeah. And I mean, it was cool learning, you know, both treble clef and bass clef. Baritone was in bass clef, and then violin, trumpet, and then a little bit of clarinet was in the treble clef. So got all over the music spectrum. Still play guitar. I used to play
violin when I was younger.
Yeah, I still play guitar mandatory. Casually. Right. They make students do learn an instrument, but
Yeah, we had
still
to
play
learn
guitar.
violin.
Still play guitar casually all the time. And what got me into producing music is, let's see, like 2011, I bought like a $100 Newmark DJ controller. But for like 3-4 years after that, I just started DJing, making mixes, and, at the same time, of course, going to a ton of electronic shows all over the spectrum. So dubstep, house, trap, etc. And one summer 2015, I was down in the middle of nowhere in Bloomington, Illinois, going to school, and I was by myself all summer because I had an internship and everyone else was like back at home. So I kind of just taught myself how to produce, trial by fire. I bet you I could find like my projects from 2015 on like Logic, GarageBand, FL Studio, and they're like the worst things you've ever heard.
I feel that when I first started making stuff too, like my music, I was making dubstep with no bass, and the first person that I sent my stuff to was Brightwing, because we were both from Florida.
Oh yeah,
and I sent him this song, and I was like, "Yo, check this shit out." And he was like, "Yo, there's no bass there." I was like, "Oh shit, I gotta put some sub behind it." He was like, "Yeah, man, you can just put a mid bass on it."
I was the opposite. My first track that I made, my first product ever that I made was literally just all sub. And I remember bouncing it out and I'm like, oh, did I not get the levels right? Because like this thing doesn't hit. And in my head, I'm like, oh, it must be the bass is too quiet. But in reality, like everything else was eaten by the sub. So you just heard, it was bad, but it's definitely a like progressing by failing type of game. So
that's the only way to learn, is to fail.
That's right. I still fail all the time. Like, I tell people, I'm like, yeah, like I probably have, somewhere right now in between like 20 and 40 releases out, whether that's under my own name or Die by the Sword. And
So wait, do you have another project under your actual name?
No, just my early works were under my own name. You can still find them. You can still find them on a playlist on my SoundCloud for those who are interested. They're really fucking bad, but I just keep them up for memory. And
see where you came from.
Once I started like going, head first into like dubstep, that's when I kind of like created an actual brand and persona. But what I was going for was like, or what I was saying was 20 to 40 songs released. And, you can relate to this. Like, I'm probably nearing like the thousands in terms of like projects worked on that just like, didn't work out or they sucked.
Yeah.
So like, it
constantly deleting stuff.
Right. The ratio from like songs worked on to like songs put out is like just, there's a massive disparity, and I know that every producer can relate to that, but still fail all the time. Got an idea.
What a good thing that I do now is with that too is if I feel like the tune isn't going to go anywhere, I just end up working on something else and then pulling the elements from that other song into the new song. Because you'll find some sort of idea that it can go with. So here and there, it may not be the best, from start to finish when you first put it in there, but overall you might be able to arrange it to something pretty cool.
Right. And I know like how heavy people are on like collaborations. I personally I think I have like maybe 2 or 3 collabs out there, but now, as you know, really when I get the ball rolling on a project and it like just comes to a screeching halt, but I'm like, hey, I have like the intro, the chorus, the bridge, like basically it just needs like a second chorus and then, other elements added to it. Then I'll, like with you, I was like, hey, we should work on this track just because I'm like, it sounds pretty compatible with your stuff. Kind of has that 5-finger salute type of vibe to it. So I was like, I was
Yeah,
like,
it was easy to get started on it. It took me a couple days, but yeah, it flows so naturally, so it doesn't feel forced at all, which is nice.
The other thing is like I'm not rushing myself with projects that I make like a full polished mix, like basically a full song, but it's only like 2 minutes long. Like,
so do you mix as you go or mix at the end?
I mix as I go, and then at the end, I'll change it up if it needs to be. Like sometimes,
just do like a final mix.
Sometimes, like I'll be right on the money. Like, all right, this is leveled well enough to get mastered. But there are like some times where I listen back on my headphones, then my car, then my monitors, and I'm like, all right, well, this definitely needs to be fixed. So, with that being said, I felt like I mixed way worse when, one thing I did like in college was like the pink noise, like put it at negative 30 decibels and then mix till you could like just hear it over the pink noise, and like doing everything from the ground up and mixing just really didn't work out for me. And I saw a recent like Facebook or Instagram reel where an engineer was talking about like stop soloing tracks when you mix. He's like, this track
is going to sound different individually.
This track is not going to be played by itself. There's no reason to play it, to listen back on it.
Throws your perspective off.
Right,
it's better to mix as a whole because you can actually hear how everything is. The only time you should I feel like you should really only be mixing solo is when you're actually working on that initial part itself, because you want it to sound as best as it can when it's when you're working on it versus down the line and you're like, oh, well, this sounds like shit. I'm going to try to fix it and you can't fix it. Then you're trying to sit here and replace it with something else.
Agreed. And I have had. Let's see. Out of like all my releases, I had 1 or 2 songs mixed by an old friend, and he's a great engineer. He knows what he's doing, but like when he did my mix down, it like did not sound like I even wrote the song at all. And like as you're like producing in this stuff. In electronic music, you like come to realize that like someone's mix down is like part of their signature sound, in my opinion.
Yeah.
A lot of it like can be subjective. I know that, there are people that are super microscopic saying like, no, if it doesn't fill the spectrum this way, like it's just not going to work out. But really,
it's like saying every kick needs to be in mono or every sub needs to be in mono.
Well, for the record, I do. I mean,
I agree with the concept, but
I do
not
mono
everybody
my kicks.
does it.
I do mono my kicks. I don't mono my subs, but I do use an imager on my master, and I'll just have anything from like 180 hertz to 25 soloed, or in mono. Sorry,
it's actually better to use an EQ to do stereo with versus using a VST for stereo imaging, because a lot of the VST stereo imaging actually has phasing issues.
So basically, like using bitted side compared to like something like Ozone Imager, yeah.
Yeah, Ozone, like, because what I use is Spectre, or I'll use Pro 3. So Spectre is an EQ, but it brings out a lot of frequencies that you really don't hear in it. So it's like I put it on like a mid bass or my sub,
right? And
it'll be that really low sub, but it'll get that little hissing sound, so it still comes through like properly on speakers. But I can only do that using that unless I want to do a whole bunch of processing.
Right. Yeah, and like I've kind of like run myself up a wall in terms of like, sound design and stuff, which sucks in terms of like 140, just because it's pretty minimal stuff. It's not, narrow or, future-based.
Do you do individual sound design, or do you create as you work?
See, like, if I'm bored and I don't really have any ideas to crank out a project, I'll go in Serum or Operator maybe. I'm mostly Serum, and I'll mess around. But that's mainly as I go as well. Sometimes I'll just use, like, the initial preset. The other times, like, I'll dig around in preset packs, and then I'll change them around entirely, change the mapping of the mods, and save them as my own, use them for later. And
do you create racks?
Yes, I do for my 808s, do for my subs, do for my mids, and then the rest, basically every track I have a drum rack saved. But to be honest, I have not been using MIDI drums lately. I've just been using straight up all audio for...
I kind of prefer audio
so do
for
I.
my drums. Anything else, I like to use MIDI, but for drum parts, I prefer audio clips.
Same, because I'm not using like a ton of like hi-hat trills, stuff like that, which like MIDI is arguably like the preferred route for, stuff like that, very dense, crowded percussion. But
yeah,
I've just really been, in my groove using audio. And back when I first started producing, I remember on Facebook, I had a couple friends that would just have fucking wars every day, like, gotta write your drums in MIDI, like, you're missing out. And I'm like, it's like the same people who say, like, oh, you gotta use Ableton, not FL. It's like, well, if you
gotta make it all yourself, no samples.
Yeah. Right. It's like people have like say that's like solely preference, in my opinion. Like MIDI versus audio. Obviously, you're not going to want to like put an 808 on audio and like change the semitones for each specific note. But like when it's the same key of a hi-hat or something like that. There's definitely ways to, modulate the velocity and stuff like that, as opposed to like, no, it has to be in MIDI and you have to use, the click and drag volume and velocity to get like a good swing in your hi-hats or some shit like that. Like there's ways to do it in both. And I feel like there's just a civil war for no fucking reason.
Yeah. So with an actual background in music, growing up actually playing instruments, do you incorporate that into your music?
I feel like it has given me like a slight edge on like my more melodic stuff, but to be honest, like I have completely forgotten how to read music. We're talking like this was 15, 16 years ago at this point. So, unfortunately I didn't keep up with it enough to still remember how to read music, but
you still play guitar, right?
Yeah, and
do you write in key?
What do you mean write in key?
Like, do you try to keep your tunes in key, like keep all your samples at like E minor or so everything kind of lines up as one, or do you just kind of play it by ear?
I play it by ear. What I really did notice though is like, this is mainly going through my stuff in Record Box, like while performing, like I've fallen into like the E minor, F minor, D minor, like those are like my three stooges right there. Those are the three musketeers of Die by the Sword. It's D minor, F minor, E minor. There are some of my tracks are in E flat minor, but in terms of like guitar, I've learned basically everything I know. I took lessons for about a year, maybe two. I've learned like every song I know how to play by ear, really. So I've always been good with pitch and key.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that like has given me, somewhat of an advantage compared to someone with like no musical background saying, I want to get into producing music. But at the same time, I'm still like not educated at all on music theory. Like, yes, I do have like, there were points in my life where, I was able to read both clefs, like I said, but I know nothing about music theory. Didn't take any classes, read any books. It's basically all off
for
the
electronic
dome.
music, though, you really don't need to know all that. I mean, for the most part,
Definitely,
you're
yeah.
kind of you're just kind of writing shit. You're just having fun. I mean, and sometimes it's helpful, but I don't feel like it's not necessary.
Right, it's definitely not necessary at all. See, there's a video, you've probably seen this, of Rick Rubin in his studio. And
yeah, I've seen some videos of him.
and he this is recent. The video going viral was recent. He was like, I know absolutely nothing about music theory. He's like, I just lay on my back and close my eyes, and if it sounds good, it sounds good. I don't know how serious he is, but like considering how like of a wild spiritual man he is, I wouldn't put it past him. But at the same time, like he's renowned to be one of the best music producers out there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to your point, like it definitely gives you music theory and music background, gives you an edge, I would say, in terms of like knowledge, but it's definitely not essential at all.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you the lame question of what made you decide with Die by the Sword? Did you have another name before that? Or
no, it was just my name. It was just Connor Cogswell. And then once I started doing dubstep full time, I was like, I should really to pause, what I want to add is, I think I put out like 2 dubstep tracks under my own name. For those wondering, it's Speak No Evil, which came out in 2019, and then Mankind, which came out in 2019. 2 are like wildly different tracks. Like Mankind is like kind of super heavy. It's, in my opinion, it's super cringy, like really
when did you
bad.
start producing?
2015.
Okay, nice.
Didn't put out music until... No, I think I put out like some house stuff in 16 in college, just like messing around on FL Studio. And like, I still love house music. I'm just not good at making it. So
I can't do it. It's too repetitive for me, unfortunately.
Yeah. So those 2 dubstep tracks, still like producing under my own name. Really early 2019. Like I had written Awakened, I had written Avowal, I had written Nightmare, and all these tunes are just stacking up. And I was like, I think I have something that I actually believe in here. And I kind of felt like if I put out the music under my own name after like putting out, mid-tempo stuff, kind of lo-fi stuff, house stuff, kind of future-y sounding stuff many years ago, it really wouldn't like hit as hard because it's not what people would be expecting. And I just didn't like, in house music and stuff like that, it's one thing to go by your own name, but there are very few people in dubstep who go by, their full name. And a couple things behind Die by the Sword. I've said this in previous talks, but one, I was a huge Slayer fan still growing up. I still listen to them all the time.
Nice.
They have a track called Die by the Sword.
What's funny is I actually didn't even get into rock music until Rock Band, the game. My mom bought it for me when I was younger, and because of that game is the whole reason that my music, like my thoughts on music expanded so far. Because I used to only listen to gangster rap. That's what I grew up on.
Yeah.
So.
See, I was growing up, like I was big into, like middle school, like Eminem, Jay-Z, and then got into like the more punk rock, got into Yeahs, The Strokes, Arctic Monkeys. And then in high school, I was like really big into not only metal, like heavy metal like Slayer, but I was into hardcore music like Amur, the Chiodos, like all that, like kind of, you know, emo stuff as someone who like, as someone who didn't listen to it would call it like emo or screamo, which was a great transition into like dubstep because in 2010, I heard my first dubstep track ever. I was at Warped Tour.
What was the first dubstep track you heard?
All right, so I'll send you the video after this interview, but this hardcore band, Amur, walked out to this dubstep song, and it was just like the craziest, wonkiest, like Rusko sounding shit you ever heard. And I still can't find the track till this day. But when I heard it, I was just like enamored by it. I was like, this is fucking awesome. And later that summer and in 2011, you know, like that's when I got huge into like Skrillex, Kill the Noise, Brown and Gammon, Brusco, Figure. I don't know if I said Figure, but I feel like I did.
No, you did.
But yeah, it was a great segue because like, you know, people who didn't listen to insane music leading up to dubstep is like, wow, this is way too intense. And I'm like, well, I'm used to like, you know, people screaming obscenities for 4 minutes on a song and playing like super fast blast beats on the drums. So like, this shit is right up my alley. So
what was the first dubstep artist that you actually went out to see?
It was on 11/11/11, and it was none other than Skrillex on his first like mothership tour.
Oh, okay.
That was at Congress Theater in Chicago, which they have had rumors to like do a $5 million renovation and reopen, but that rumor's been going on long before COVID. So like, it's like fenced off right now too. It's like, oh man, they're really getting going on this, or so you'd think. And I think it's going now. Most of their electronic shows are at Aragon. The ones that are a little smaller than Aragon are at Concord, and then the ones that are bigger than Aragon are usually at Radius, which is new, or Navy Pier. But yeah, Aragon was a big staple. Like they get Zed's Dead, they get Zoo, they got Josophelstein in late 2019. But
yeah, the first person I saw was Downlink. And I remember being a kid, and my mom dropping me off at this venue, and she's like, "You see all these naked girls outside?" It was like, cause they was sitting there.
It was like in the candy days, yeah.
Yeah.
And the bejeweled bras and stuff like that. Yeah, it was a different time, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, I saw Liquid Stranger, and then I got really into like drum and bass.
What year was this?
I think 2010.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think somewhere around there.
the same time, yeah.
Yeah, and I got into that, and I just started like branching out and everything. I started listening to drum and bass. I listened to happy hardcore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
so Gabber.
Yeah, that shit was intense.
See, yeah, I was actually just talking about Wakan and Liquid Stranger in 2016, 2017, even like 2018, especially like when he put out those first couple Peekaboo EPs. Like he was fucking untouchable, man. Like,
oh yeah,
we saw him. Me and my friends saw him play an 11:15 a.m. set at Summer Camp Music Festival in 2017, and it was just like awesome. Like I still rewatch clips on YouTube, and I'm like, yeah, this stuff's great. Like now, the stuff like Wakan has gotten like kind of future bass wavy now, but like it's one of those sets that I look back to, and it doesn't even feel like a Liquid Stranger set. I mean, yeah. Trends change, of course, but like, goddamn, it was awesome.
I definitely feel that. Yeah, it's definitely different, but you know, as you said, times do change. You know, the sound changes, and you also try to keep up with your audience as well.
Right.
You know, especially when you're at that level, you know, you have kind of an obligation.
Yeah, and like the ball's rolling. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's not like, you know, it's not like they're putting out this stuff and no one likes it. Like clearly, you know, they have a massive following. So they're doing something right. This is long before like a lot of the artists that are on Wakan had gotten on, like especially LS Dream. I feel like he's a huge part of Wakan.
He used to go by like a different name.
He used to make festival trap under Brills.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
And he's not my cup of tea, but I've seen him, for example, Miso's from Chicago. He put Miso on heavy. Miso played direct support to him at Mission Ballroom.
Nice.
So like definitely, doing good, and obviously he helped a lot with putting Wakan on the map to like what it is now. But in the early days, yeah, I love that shit. Especially like I still play out and listen to the first two EPs that Peekaboo put out on Wakan. Those are fucking amazing. Yeah, I feel like he's really like going in his own direction. He's blew up. Like for example, like EPROM supports him at shows, and seeing Peekaboo for the first time at Logan Square Auditorium, like you would never guess that like he would get to a point where EPROM is his supporting act or shit like that. And he's got a big following. He's shown a lot about his productions, his mixes. He
does Twitch live streams.
Yeah,
and what's crazy is too, he does a lot of sample grabbing. He does a lot of drag and drop. But the good thing is that because of him being so big, and he's doing that and showing his fans and people that want to learn how to make music, that's completely okay to do. Because so many people see it as frowned upon to just, grab samples and do slight edits on them or just use them period. And that kind of shows people like you don't need to be scared to actually, just work. Everything doesn't need to be completely written from scratch.
Right. It's like that one meme where it's like, I thought, stealing a drum or using a drum sample was stealing. And then it's like, so I went out and bought a drum, then I recorded that, and then I thought that was like too. that was stealing too. So I went out and then I like killed a fish and I filleted it to use the grain on a snare drum, and then I thought that was cheating. So I went out and I built my own drum, and it's like, yeah,
can't
like,
please no one.
It's really like how you use it. Obviously, it comes to the point where like, if you're just using like a full melody, like 16 bar loop of a bass line, and then you make a song out of that, just like basically how you put out a sample pack, like making a demo track, like there's a difference between that and like using a kick drum and maybe putting like an EQ on it. Like there's absolutely like they're there for you to use. There's a huge argument like with people like using the Turnian sound sample pack, and they actually replied on Twitter and was like, well, we made them for you to use. You bought the sample. That's the whole point. So go ahead and use it. Yeah.
Yeah, you bought it. Use it how you please.
Yeah. So
it's the same thing about with like jerseys and stuff. How people burn jerseys and all that when they don't like teams and players anymore. It's like, yeah, you bought that shit. You do what you want with it.
Yeah. The money's already in the pocket, man. You're literally just like, it's basically just clickbait at that point.
So I know you're going on tour here soon, man. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's underway. Started off, it really wasn't even intended to like, oh yeah, like let's drop a tour. What happened was, fortunately, a bunch of bookings happened to come in, really like almost at the same time where it made sense to like, yeah, let's put out the dates in the cities, and just like go from there. Didn't really call it a tour, just said like Die by the Sword 2023 dates. But now that I think about it, it's basically
Pretty
a tour,
consecutive dates. So.
nearly 10 dates. Started off in Grand Rapids with Lita Lotus. Really fun time. About 100 people showed up at, this what looks like a mom and pop bar restaurant in Grand Rapids, and we got the Liquid Dance Hall sound system in there. It was banging.
Nice. I actually just got off a call with them.
Really?
Right before this, we were chatting about sound systems.
Yeah, well, shout out Elliot. It's an amazing sound system.
Love that kid.
We blew the vents off the ceiling at that place. They were going crazy behind me, and I was like, I was like in the middle of like a build or an intro, and they're like all going crazy. I'm like, what's going on? Then I look, and the vent was swinging from the ceiling. And I was like, oh, all right. Yeah, so there's a picture. I don't even have that picture, but I need it. So, Elliot, if you're watching this, or Will or Joe, please send that to me. But after that, let's see. I had some time off, played in Chicago last weekend with Drone. That was awesome. Shout out Beat Down Sound. That is hands down the best sound system I've ever played on, grassroots-wise. They're super low-key. Like, these events are 75 capacity. It's in a coach house in Chicago. Don't want to say.
Small intimate shows are the best.
But that thing was fucking
small
howling.
Room, big sound.
It was dialed up. They had their homie on literally at the controls the entire time, had a dub siren. It was just so proper. And then this Friday we'll be at Black Box with Widow. Shout out Deep Dark Dangerous. And congratulations to you on the DDD release.
Appreciate you, man.
Welcome to the fam. Yeah.
Got some other things coming up too, but let that play out in the future.
Yeah. So really quick, I want to pull up. I want to see because I'm forgetting like the entirety. So Black Box this Friday, and then April 8th we'll be in Pittsburgh. That one should be getting announced soon. Then a 2-night run in Iowa. First night in Des Moines. Nice. Second in Dubuque. That's May 12th and 13th. And then can't say the last two TBAs, but I will say one of them is actually not in the United States. That's
hell yeah, man.
First time thank you. That is the first time I've said that. Haven't posted anything about it. Can't really say where it is yet, but that should be announced later this month. So, yes, first international show. Super excited. Have never been to this country, so.
Is there any festivals that you're hoping to play this year?
Obviously there's one prominent festival that has been a dream of mine to play for 5 years. That is none other than Infrasound. I literally have a pact where I'm like, I will not go to that festival as an attendee until I play. So, like every year, like the lineup slaps, and all my friends go, and I'm close with Eric of Turnian. Like they're basically residents there, and everyone's hanging out, everyone's chilling, and they're like, "Why don't you go?" And I'm like, "It's just personal with me. Like I'm not going to go until I play." So
yeah, it's a dream to play there. It's a bucket list thing.
Exactly, yeah, and I just hold that on like a higher, appreciation. Not that any other fests like aren't up to par, but it's just very like sacred, so to say. Because when I was, getting heavy into 140, all the recorded sets I listened to, all the mixes I listened to, all the artists I listened to were playing at Infrasound. So that's kind of like what got me. That's kind of what got me holding Infrasound to such like a higher level, and also like those artists that played Infrasound are like the only reason why I do this. So
yeah,
we all Go ahead.
No, well, I was gonna say with everything coming up too, is there any other artists that have kind of inspired you lately that you kind of look up to, or people that you should keep an eye out for?
In terms of inspiration, man, lately, fucking the Distinct Motive sets I've seen, I literally didn't even say that because I was wearing the shirt. Shout out Phil. He actually had me up to back with him at the Black Box over summer, like right when I moved here. That set was one of the best sets I've ever seen at the box.
I feel Phil does a good job of putting people on.
Yes, he has supported me tremendously during COVID when he would do those live streams with the green screen. Like, I sent him music, just not even thinking really, because I had sent him stuff like before COVID, and I sent him stuff again, and then I was literally like at a bar patio just like watching Twitch, and like he played like two of my songs, and like him and I started talking, hitting it off, and seeing him play sets, super fucking inspiring. He's very comfortable in his production and DJing, and he's all about having fun. So seeing him throw down as good as he does, basically just like off the dome, going in there, just reading the room, very inspiring. Missed him at Meow Wolf because we played at the same time, but I did get to see him the day after I played Grand Rapids. Elliot was actually on my flight, and he was support for that show. But aside from that, really, the Turny and Sound guys, like I just saw their show. Forgetting the date, but it's the last weekend of February, so not this. So
does Eric and Jack, they do the shows, and Andrew does more of the production, or
so
just
actually,
production?
They used to all three play shows, but Andrew is actually talking today on Twitch about how expensive air travel is now, and it's like, hey, I live in the Midwest, and like, for example, like he's going to Chicago, and if they have a Michigan stop, he'll go there because he lives there. Minnesota, he'll probably be there because that's where he's from. It just makes the most sense for him not to go, they said, but in terms of productions, it's really all over the place. I know like they've all individually wrote songs, and sometimes, like, I believe Jack and Andrew have just worked together, and other times all three of them. But yeah, it's really just based on what I think is like most sensible, and also also like Andrew lives in Michigan with his wife, so I feel like it makes the most sense for Jack and Eric, who do this full time, to be the ones hitting the tours. But
okay,
great guys,
nice.
Great guys. Got to hang out with them at Ogden. The set was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I actually didn't even find out about the show until the day of the show, and it sucked too because I caught the flu that same weekend, so I wouldn't have even been able to go. I was like watching videos, and I was like, "Damn, that looked fun."
So
that was with Yeti, right?
Yeah, I know a lot of people who do not go to Ogden for electronic shows because the rig in there is solely meant for bands. And when they have electronic shows, you're just getting pelted with the highs. So
Did they bring their own custom system?
They brought in a Hennessy deployment, and nice. I told them right after they played, I'm like, yeah, the rig saved the show. It's like, it sounded great. I was in an awkward spot. I was like up on the balcony on the side. So like, I really, for their set, like, I remember Eric telling me, like, I really couldn't tell which songs were hitting the hardest. I was like, well, I can't be a good gauge of that because I was not, like, in front of the speakers. But the times that I were, I was like, yeah, this rig made the show, like, so much better just because I've only seen bands there, and it sounds good. But at the same time, I said to myself, I really don't want to be seeing DJs, bass music DJs without, proper reinforcement, but
yeah,
went off without a hitch.
That's actually something that we were just talking about in the other chat with Liquid Dancehall, about how people book artists that require, low end speakers like myself and you, where we make
Right.
low end music, and if we get booked for an event and it doesn't have the proper sound system, it's not really going to project the way that we want it to. It's going to sound, kind of wimpy, to be honest, because all of our stuff really is driven by the sub bass. And if you don't have a proper system to carry that, then there's really no point of bringing that artist out there. Like if you're trying to book, let's say, Truth and you got a PA system, the hell is that going to do?
Yeah, my first show, one of my first dubstep shows, this was under my own name. I was playing in the side room of a nightclub outside of Chicago, and it was literally fucking 2 PA speakers and 4 ceiling speakers, and it was just it was so fucking bad. It was so bad, but yeah, now I feel more getting in with more sound system based promoters. Basically, I can't tell you the last time I've played a show without a system, and that's the best part of this. All the different systems you get to play on. Just thinking back, obviously, sometimes you're going to play on, for example, Meow Wolf. There was a.
Do you feel that you're spoiled at the Black Box?
I haven't played on the couch. The rig.
Even just listening to it though, versus being back in Chicago.
Oh, yeah. It shits on any Chicago sound system for sure. But I'm trying to think. I know that multiple different systems kind of joined forces at the Black Box. It's extremely custom. It's not just a F1 deployment. I forget what it is. I forget what the specs are, but whatever it is, it's great.
Yeah, every time I go there, I just feel like I'm spoiled.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same really, just because I have a lot of friends that talk about the box, but they've never been out here for it, and they're just. I just think of them when, I'm at a show. I'm like, damn, you don't get sound like this anywhere else. Of course, some places commission people who have built sound systems, and that's a different story. But I'm talking just bare bones, going into a venue in another city. You don't get that sound anywhere else.
So, do you have any things that you like to do outside of music?
This winter I've been snowboarding a ton. Broke my ribs the first time going.
Been out here 7 years and I still haven't gone yet. And I have 2 snowboards in my garage, but I still haven't even touched them yet.
Yeah, man, you gotta go. Please let me know if you ever want to, and you could drive up here.
I'd definitely be down for that.
We'll drive us out.
I just never have anybody that wants to go, or I'm not very fond of driving in the snow, so driving in the snow on the side of a mountain doesn't sound very pleasant to me.
Yeah. Makes sense, but yeah, winter just been snowboarding, working on music. Got a release coming out next month that you might know about, but I can't talk about just yet. And once the warm weather rolls around, just hiking and golf really, and disc golf as well. I moved here for the nature and the scenery, so just enjoying that makes me kind of fulfilled. Feels like a full circle.
More north than me, you should check out Isabel Lake. It's in a town called Ward, and I think it's got a population of 100 people.
Let's see, so Isabel Lake.
Yeah, but it's absolutely beautiful. Because I try to go hiking as much as I can, especially in the summertime. And now that I have my
this is by this is straight west of Boulder. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, now that I have my motorcycles and stuff too, I usually end up taking those out like really far. Went up to Breckenridge and Aspen. I'm trying to do a ride up to Utah. Went through the Vide.
Did you rip right through the tunnel on 70?
Oh yeah. It was my first time going through that tunnel, and like I straight gunned it because I wanted to just hear it roar while I was under there.
Yeah,
it was my first time. Like I didn't know we had tunnels in Colorado. So
I see you posting. Yeah, you're going through a fucking mountain, bro. So
yeah,
they're not going to send you up and over, man. You're going through it. But I see you. Yeah, I see you posting a lot of stuff on the motorcycle. Do you use a GoPro or no?
Yes, yeah, I keep one on the front, and then I also have one for the side of my helmet as well.
That's awesome, man.
I actually just got a new helmet today, too, a lot more than I intended to spend, but I can mount it to the front of my helmet now, so whenever I move my head, it can follow where my head's moving, which is nice.
Yeah, that is. I recently just purchased one myself. It's not here yet, but...
What GoPro did you get?
I got one. I got the Hero 5.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I got the Hero 5 and like a bundle of accessories. It only cost me like $150. So
okay.
I was like, I can't say no to this.
sign up on the GoPro website. I think it's like $5 a month. But if you say you break your GoPro or anything, they'll replace it at no charge.
I should probably do that, considering I like to fall and break my ribs on my snowboard. So
yeah, and then it's got unlimited memory too, so you can just upload stuff all day.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, you should. Do you plan on using your GoPro for when you do shows to record your shows? You can also
I want to.
Yeah, you can do direct audio as well, so that you can record
into the sets. GoPro.
Yeah.
Really, I always figured you had to do like the DJM record app, and then like just the video off the GoPro.
Yeah, no. So you can you could use your GoPro, or you can also do like an iRig, an iRig too. And they connect that to the GoPro as well. So
that's awesome. But yeah, I hope to as well. Like that's a big reason why I got it. Like hiking, snowboarding, DJing. So yeah, I just got tired of like, trying to film shit on my phone, especially like when you're going 30, 35 miles an hour on a snowboard. I'm like, I really can't hold my phone right now.
And it just sounds dangerous too, because your attention's on your phone versus like just focusing on what's in front of you. Same thing with the motorcycle. Your focus has to be completely on the road.
Oh yeah, that's a different story, bro. Yeah. You're
especially
cooking
when
on
you're
that thing.
Busting 150 down the highway, just jamming a like drum and bass.
Right.
What's cool though is I got this new helmet. It blocks out so much wind noise, so I can hear the music perfectly. So I'll literally just be jamming while I'm going down the road, and like there's nothing distracting me at all. Like the only thing that's on my mind is this road and this music. Yeah.
Got to be careful though, because like motorcyclists pay attention. It's other people that don't.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to ride fast, but I'm very cautious. So.
Yeah. Don't we all? I mean, those who ride motorcycles, so not me.
I think we're all just living life in the fast lane.
Yeah, for real. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, man. So how you been enjoying Colorado now? You've been out here for what 6 months or so?
No, I moved out here in June, first week of June, so I've been out here quite a while, and it's everything I really hoped for. If anything, like I'm glad I live like closer to the mountains. Really, like after living in Chicago for 5 full years, I'm like, yeah, there's no way I was going to live downtown. Yeah, there's no way I was going to live downtown out here. So glad I didn't have to like resort to that. I was able to find a place out in Wheat Ridge. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, so you don't stay in Denver. You stay a little outside of Denver.
I live in Wheat Ridge. Yeah.
How far is that from Denver?
10 miles.
Oh, okay, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, so Golden's like 10 minutes up the street. Denver's like 20 minutes on the highway.
Yeah, unfortunately, I said I could never live in Denver. There's just too much happening for me at all times.
Yeah, that's another thing, man. Like a lot of the people that live in Denver are still very like up and at 'em every single weekend and, like weekdays as well. And I'm like, yeah, I just can't do that anymore. Getting old. But
yeah, I'm tired by 12 o'clock. Yeah, I could be in the club and 12 o'clock hits. I need like a cup of tea or something to keep me up.
No doubt. You ain't kidding, bro. You ain't kidding.
That would be nice if clubs sold coffee and tea and as soon as it hits 12 o'clock, oh man, I would be so about that.
Yeah, I got a buddy who is notorious for ordering coffee at the bar all the time. That was mainly a Chicago thing. I don't know if he does it out here. I'll have to ask him after this.
So with you getting so tired, early in the night, do you keep like coffee or anything on your rider?
No, I do a sugar-free Red Bull. I do sugar-free Red Bull, Smart Water, and then 6 of these bad boys. Okay. And then just like any small snacks like fruit and stuff. But I do put like, a note on it. I'm like, if general like food and drink is provided, like that's fine. I'm not gonna, be
you don't put anything crazy on there like I need a thing of Pokemon cards or Legos.
No, but
there are people that do that.
I know. I was really like, there was a point where I was gonna put like a gag on my rider and see what happened, but I didn't end up doing it. Maybe like next time, I'm playing for a friend promoter, I'll do that when I send the contract. Just be like, yeah, framed picture of Big Chungus.
I need Hello Kitty slippers.
Yeah. They're like, sorry, bro. If you don't get it, I can't play.
Yeah, right.
It's like, oh, we don't have any at Kmart out here. Well, Kmart's out of business. Walmart is what I meant to say. R.I.P. Kmart. But
yeah, I was going to say, I think Kmart went out of business a few years ago.
I used to have one right by my place, like, and I think it went out in like when I was in high school, so 2009.
Just makes you feel a little old, all the businesses that are gone, like Circuit City.
Oh, Circuit City, yeah. I remember they were like head to head with Best Buy. That didn't end well for them. Poor guys.
Yeah, unfortunately, they were pretty easy to steal from. I knew a lot of people that took things from them because they had no security.
Yeah. I feel like Best Buy, you always see those videos, Walmart and Best Buy, people just getting tackled, like trying to walk out of a printer or a TV. That wasn't happening at Circuit City.
Yeah, exactly. You just
like, just go ahead, bro. It's our liquidation sale. We're going out of business. It's just a bonus check for the CEO. We're already bankrupt, man.
So you got any plans for your day, man? You working on music or what you got going on?
Well, worked all day. Not on music, just at the day job for the man. And then I hit the gym, got all nice and cleaned up so I can look presentable on this meeting. But yeah, typically during the week of a show, I don't do a whole lot producing. Fortunately, I do have CDJs here, so I'll get a playlist together of like 80 or 100 songs, and I'll just start mixing. I'll note which ones like I am not feeling, get them off the playlist and replace them.
So do you create playlists for your shows, or do you kind of freestyle it?
So both. So I create a playlist. Like obviously, you're not with a 60-minute set, you're not going to get through 100 songs. So I'll really just in the green room like 20 minutes, 30 minutes before I go on, I'll kind of like decide what song I want to play first, and then the rest is really just cowboying off my USB.
Yeah, I normally know the first 2 songs, and then after that, it's just kind of random. Except nowadays, like it's a little bit different. If I'm opening, like I'll just completely freestyle it. But if I'm headlining, I put a little bit more thought into it.
Yeah, for sure. And really, I've just found that I keep the energy up in my sets for the crowd,
which is important.
By going off the dome, really, just because if you have like a slow part of your set and the crowd is already like kind of just like swaying, not really like into it, or even if they're like really into it and you're about to go into like, you know, a melodic section, you have like a playlist lined up, like you're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
You want to keep the momentum. So really I've found the best way is to just, you know, gather as many songs as like I want to play in a playlist, like as if I don't have a time limit, and then just play the songs that make the most sense when the time does come.
Yeah, that's always been my fear of making playlists as well, is that, one, I feel like if I create a playlist, I'm going to be kind of stuck to this playlist, and say the crowd's not feeling that, and I'm still, you know, I got this set planned and everything, and I'm kind of screwed at that point. Or, for instance, say you run out of tunes. Like, I don't... I play tunes pretty fast.
I haven't played a, you know, straight through playlist in quite some time. It has to be years at this point, but there's definitely nothing wrong with that. It can work really, really good, especially like these people like, you know, doing AV sets. Like, yeah, that makes sense. You're not going to be able to, you know, just do all that freestyle. But in terms of like, you know, disc jockeying, like doubling and blending and mixing with, you know, 3 or more decks, I feel like it gives you the most freedom to just make a general playlist and just play the songs you're feeling at the time.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I definitely understand that. Do you so I know you're saying you don't work on music really within the weeks of the show. Do you work on music at all, like in the airports or in your hotel? Like, try to finish up tunes or work on new ideas specifically for that city?
I have written tunes, like finished them in hotels and stuff like that. Now my laptop is just like so beat to shit that I don't really use it on the fly in terms of like, well, no pun intended, like on an airplane or shit like that. I really only use it if I have like a desk or something like that, just because it's literally so delicate. I feel like a couple cables are loose. But like if you were to shake that thing, like it will literally like restart. So I'm in the process of I'm in the process of getting a desktop. Yes, but
what are you planning on getting? Are gonna get
I'm gonna get the Mac
Macs
Mini,
with the M2s.
Yeah,
Nice.
So the thing is, like during the week, I'll also like instead of, you know, writing a new track, I will go ahead and, you know, remix or remaster like some of, you know, my whips that I'm like, all right, like this can be played out. Like there's already, you know, 2.5 minutes, or there's already one full drop, and I'll just make sure that like, all right, even though like the concept is there, is it, you know, leveled enough to play on a professional sound system? Because there is a difference. And
yeah, it might sound good at your speakers, but not on other speakers.
Yeah, so I'm sure on Friday, like I'll play some new ones, and I'll be like, well, back to the drawing board because the mix ain't there. But yeah, got a lot of new ones to play on Friday, so super excited about that.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, it's always fun testing out new stuff on the road. You know, if no one knows, it gives that nice element of surprise. Never know what's coming next.
Yeah, like I have a few that I know for sure I've never included in any mixes or played in any sets, so I'm gonna, you know, it's the black box. Gotta let them rip on that system on the bass couch.
The black box is always a great place to test new songs. That's for sure.
Right.
Just because those speakers are so prime.
They are, man. They every fucking time. Like I have like Snapchat videos of shows in there, and like Snapchat like is clipping them so much you like can't even hear the videos because it's so loud in that room.
Are you more the person that is in the back or the front of the crowd?
Definitely the back. Yeah. Just because, you know, more room, and I feel like you could appreciate things more, and like just considering like how dense, crowded, and like hectic it is if people are raging, like I prefer to like watch that as opposed to be in it now.
Yeah.
Really just depends on the time though. Like if my buddies are playing, like I try to be right up there, because I had a buddy of mine who was at the Chicago show and he was just raging the entire time, and I'm like, dude, I love that, because I feel like there's sometimes when you play
It's
shows,
always great to see someone you know in the crowd.
when you play shows that aren't like fully sold out, I feel like there's like this weird gap in between the speakers and the crowd, and they're just like, everyone's like kind of afraid to like go up close.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. So like when my buddies play like at the box, like I make sure I'm up there banging on the bins and whatnot.
It kind of reminds you of like middle school dances where, you know, the boys would be on one side and the girls would be on the other side until somebody actually decides they want to get in and dance.
Makes the leap of faith.
Else. Yeah.
I remember my first school dance, and I can attest it was all us guys just hanging out because we were scared. We were scared, man.
Yeah, somebody make the first move so I don't feel uncomfortable.
Straight up.
So when you go out to shows and you see fans and stuff like that, and fans approach you, are you more of a social person, or are you fairly quiet?
Yeah, man. You know, like every time I've been approached, you know, I just make it a point to show my appreciation, and also like, you know, anyone I consider a fan, I consider a friend as well. So
nice.
Really, really like, you know, talking to them. It's awesome when like people come up and they're like, hey, you know, like I make music too and shit. And I'm like, well, send me it. Like I'll fucking play it if I like it. You know, it's not like, oh, I can't stand like people, especially like at this caliber, who think they're too cool for people. I would definitely never want to come off like that. So
yeah,
definitely more of the, you know, regular social person that I am. Depends on the night, of course. Like sometimes you'll be focused or nervous or tired, and maybe I'm less talkative, but never, I don't think I've ever been seen as like quiet, even in that situation.
Yeah, see, unless I have a drink or something, there's no getting me to talk. I have horrible social anxiety, so I try to interact.
And you were saying at the Black Box, like someone actually brought your vinyl to sign.
Yes, yeah,
so like,
yeah, I want to.
How
which was really cool. It was great. I mean, it was a wonderful experience. I was incredibly honored. I was trying to make it not awkward because I was so happy and I was so excited that, you know, somebody took the time to purchase my vinyl, and then for me to sign it as well, which was the first thing that I've ever signed. Yeah. It was my nerves were very high, and so so all I could really
don't
do
mess
was
up your signature.
Yeah, I think I definitely did, because I don't have an Ego Death signature yet.
Yeah,
I haven't worked on it. So
I don't have one for my
like
as well.
Phil has mastered his signature.
Oh yeah, he's got like the graffiti font. Yeah,
yes,
it's awesome.
Yeah, so I still haven't gotten there. So it was just basic cursive.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was definitely great, but I feel like I need to get better at kind of interacting with people and fans as well, you know, and
now
just being a little bit more talkative.
Which label put out that vinyl?
So that one was Frozen Plates, but I have currently 4 vinyl releases.
Really? Okay.
So I have that one. I have the one on Ends. I have one on Infernal Sounds, and then I have. I don't give a fuck. They're my labels. So I can talk about them all I want. So I have another one coming out this year on Runouts, which is a 10-inch, and then 2 12-inches that should still be coming out on Diploc.
Yeah.
And then one on Duploc as well. So this year,
I remember you telling me about some of those. but I wasn't sure which labels had. I knew you had Wax, but I didn't know which publications had dropped them.
Yeah,
I know about your. You told me at the box actually about your plans, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, man, you're fine, man. I'm more comfortable talking about music stuff than I am just about just talking. Like, I'm horrible at small talk, but I could talk about music all day. Yeah, like no matter what, and I don't feel pressured. I don't feel annoyed or anything because that's what I like to do, and that's what I like to talk about. So, right,
definitely, I feel like it's a good connection. Whether you're shy or social, like everybody who loves music will talk about it.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I like to do these things as well, is because yes, it gives an insight into the artists or the company or the people building the sound systems or et cetera, et cetera. But it also helps me be a little bit more vocal and kind of jump out of my shell. So
right. I'm glad.
It's nice.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. So we got a couple more minutes. Is there anything that you want to let the fans know, or anything you got coming up in the future? Anything about yourself that you want people to know about you?
Yeah, we could talk about a few things. So the TBA dates on the tour flyer should be updated soon. As well as the location and lineup for that Pittsburgh show. That'll be my birthday weekend, so super excited for that one. Pretty poppin', up-and-coming promoter. Really excited to meet the guy. Aside from shows, this spring there will be a 2-track vinyl release. One of them has been 3 or 4 years in the making. Those pre-masters are out, locked and loaded. That will be a 10-inch lathe cut dub plate, limited to 50 copies. So be sure to get on it. And then I am currently finishing up a 4-track EP for a UK label, and basically all I could say about them, they got 2 pretty heavyweight artists running the label. They won Best New Label on the Duploc Awards a couple years ago. I'm not sure which year. Sorry if you guys watch this and I don't know my trivia, but yeah, a lot of stuff to be excited about, and winter's coming to an end. Spring and summer are going to be full swing, so yeah. Well, this winter is a lot better than a Chicago winter. So at least you could do fun shit in the snow.
Yeah, Colorado's just very bipolar, but it definitely doesn't get like the winters that we used to get back up north, with Chicago and Michigan. So,
yeah. No, Michigan's just as bad, if not worse. So
yes, it's horrible.
But yeah, man. What about you, man? Aside from our track we're working on, what do you got coming up?
Aside from the vinyl releases that I just stated, I don't really have any other digital things. I do have a dub techno vinyl that I've been working on for the past 3 years now. One tune is already done, and the other one is partially done. I just haven't worked on it, so I need to finish that. As I'm going to be the first artist with this label. I got some collabs coming up too. So right now, the one with us, going to be starting another one with Ramses here soon.
He's sick, man.
Yeah, about to start one with Widow, as well as Lee Lion and R-Man. So busy schedule. I basically finish a tune a day. So that's my work. Yeah, my workflow is really fast. So I make about probably 10 to 20 songs a month. I don't post nothing. I post every now and then.
And for the record, I do not make music that fast. So you guys will have to wait.
Yeah, my workflow is just really fast because I have really bad ADD and ADHD, so my brain is just always running at 100 miles per hour. So I can get an idea down very quickly, and then I'll come back to it within like a day or so just to make sure I like the arrangement, make sure the mix sounds nice, and then take a week off from the tune and then come back and master it because sending it off is sometimes expensive, and I know I can do it myself because I've spent a very long time trying to learn how to master as well as I master tunes for other people as well. So I just try to take that couple week or two off to kind of forget about the tune, so I'm not very prejudiced about it when I go back to master it. But yeah, I mean, besides those, I just been kind of pump out tunes. Last year I had a really slow year. I think I probably finished five or six songs. I just wasn't feeling it. I was very depressed, unfortunately. Lost my dog. And
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I had it for 10 years. And then I also bought a house last year, which was very stressful process. Took a lot of energy and time out of doing anything else that I wanted to do. But now that I have my own house and my own studio space where I don't feel like I am aggravating people because I was in an apartment before, I can really push out tunes. I'm up to almost like 2 in the morning every night working on music. But the thing is too, I also take a lot of mini breaks. So I only work in 30-minute sessions. I keep a little timer in the studio. So what I do now is I actually got the idea from Kim, CIM out in the UK, or Kim. But what he does is he works on things in increments, like how you do with the band session. So 30-minute increments of things. So what I do now is I work on drums for 30 minutes, then the bass for 30 minutes, and then effects and intro stuff for 30 minutes, then background stuff, and then go back and do that.
Look at what's saved. Look at what's saved in my phone. It's a screenshot, and it's Sim commenting on your post, talking about what you're talking about right now. I took a screenshot, and I'm like, it's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, it really is because it keeps you constantly moving, and it doesn't keep you stuck on just one idea versus like if you're sitting there spending. Dude,
I completely forgot that was on your post. Like, when I pulled that up, I'm like, oh shit. But yeah, when I saw him say that, I screenshotted immediately. I was like, I should do that. And like now, I'm
I actually wrote it down. Weekends. So here, I'll show you. Where is? So yeah, I have work tips.
Nice.
Yeah, so these are my work tips. I keep a whole book actually at my studio of like tips and tricks. So like I got mastering, mixing tips, compression details. I got like vocal tips, like where things are coming in and vocals, which parts hit what. So I know where I really want to push things without having to overthink it, and then becomes second nature at a point. Just like I have what's funny is I have a whole thing of frequency ranges and frequency bands. So I know, where everything is at.
That's dope.
So I've become an audio nerd over the years, and it's little things like this have kind of helped me just kind of stay on track, and not overthink it as much, so that I can keep it fun and simple. But also when I need to fix things in audio, because I don't want things to sound gross and muddy, and I know exactly what I need to fix in each part, rather than just fixing it in the whole mix as well, because I want to make sure it sounds perfect before the final product. So like I don't want to have to keep going back and forth to mix it. So I always make sure I clean all the cuts, there's no popping, no clicks or anything like that while I work, Yeah,
everybody, it hasn't been that much of a problem for me lately. But like everyone talks about like the declicking VSTs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Really, I've just like I think I've found a rhythm with like using the correct amount of attack and release for stuff to not click. But yeah, that's one of the worst feelings ever when you have a click that you can't find in one of your tunes, and you're just digging through the mix. You're like, where the fuck is it?
Yeah, a lot of my kicks nowadays have clicks in them because of what I use to process them. So I have intro templates. So when I start my songs, I already know what I'm going to have on my drums. So I have a drum group of like riff, my EQs of where I want certain things to be cut, a glue compressor and all that stuff, like stuff that I know is already going to go on there initially. And then like my kicks, I have certain things on there that I know that I always process my kicks with. So I just leave it on there already, so I don't have to go in and do all that. And one of the things I use is Isotope Trash. And
I got that too. They put it up for free a couple months ago. I was like, all right.
Yeah, it was a Christmas free download like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And there's there's kind of a little process thing. So if you actually go onto the manual of Trash, they actually have a design thing of how you could put your drums and your snares on there and make them sound like they're like they pop like instantly. And because I didn't know
there are some crazy fucking presets on there that like it's to a point where I only use like the subtle or utility presets and change them around, because all the other shit I'm like, this is just like not even recognizable.
Have you checked out any minimal audio stuff?
Now,
what like Rift, Morphed EQ, and the cluster delay?
So I've messed with Rift, but I believe, didn't they just post a cluster delay video like last week?
Yeah, I bought it. It came out Friday, and I bought it.
Yeah, that shit looks crazy.
It is, man. It's so easy to use. Like the interface is so user friendly.
See, for me, dude, Trash 2 is like extremely hard to use.
It is. It is hard.
Yeah. So really, like, I'll just be using like a subtle, like I said, subtle or utility preset, and like, to be honest, it's like maybe 15% on the wet and dry.
So I know you use Serum and Operator. Do you ever mess around with Vital?
So embarrassing, but true. My iOS is too outdated to use Vital, and my computer will literally. Oh, it's 10 years old.
Okay.
It'll take a shit if I use it. So I have Vital, and I have Fab Filter. I have Ableton 11 just like ready to go on a USB. So I'm waiting until I do that, or till I get a new Mac, which, you know, should be next week, because I'm just waiting on a work bonus.
Yeah.
But really, like you were saying, like, yeah, I use a group for my kicks. Like, I'll use a rack as well. Like, I'll have a drum EQ, and then I'll have a bass mono. So like anything under like 120 hertz or 0 to 120 is in mono. And then I'll also use Camel Crusher, which you probably have heard of.
Yeah.
If not,
yeah, but it's so old, I actually can't even download it. I tried to a couple years ago, and it wouldn't let me because there's no download links available.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem if you would like it, but yeah, it's extremely simple to use. Has a compressor built in, filter built in, and overdrive, and that's how I've gotten like my hardest hitting kicks that like I was satisfied with. Like, obviously, like a lot of them are too mechy. Like, they sound like, you know, like a happy hardcore kick. Mm-hmm. But if you mess with the distortion, just put it lightly and really just rely on the compressor and the filter, you'll get like a nice kick, even out of just like something that's super basic or, you know, very subtle. So that's a game changer, for sure. But aside from that, like for me, like I have a couple racks that are just gonna be for subs and mids. Really, like for my sub, I rely on operator. I used to do my subs in Serum, but like for me, there's no point because really you don't want your subs to be multiple voices. So if I'm just using one voice, it's an operator. It's using, most of them are using the hip hop sub, and then I just have some erosion and saturation on there, and that's quite literally it. I don't try and like do too much with the sub just because, one, the majority is going to be in mono, and two, really trying to make it a more foundational part of my tracks as opposed to like taking everything up with it.
Yeah. Lately, I actually been using this trick that Mr. Bill does now. It's with Massive. So it's creating risers, but you generate a different riser every time and like randomize it.
Yeah, I saw that clip. Yeah. I saw that last week, actually.
Yeah, I actually saved it, and I made a preset out of this, so anytime I open Massive now, I can just go to it and start randomizing it.
Yeah, man, that's some cool shit. He's a genius, and I really enjoy his videos.
Have you ever gone onto his website, MrBillTunes.com, and watched any of the videos?
No, but
that's actually how I learned how to produce was from those videos.
Yeah, man. I haven't been to his site, but I've seen dozens of his YouTube videos.
Yeah, man's a genius, man. When it comes to Ableton, there's no one that knows more than Mr. Bill, in my opinion.
Yeah, he posted on Facebook saying that he spends like nearly 15 hours a day in Ableton. I'm like, God damn.
Yeah, well, he does 24-hour sessions. Like, he'll stay up for 24 hours and work on music and then sleep for 2 days.
That's fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy. It really is.
That's dedication right there.
Yeah. No doubt.
So
man.
Is there any place that people can check out your music and stuff before we end up going?
Yeah, of course. Most of my works are going to be on SoundCloud. I say that just because it's broken down by my originals, my remixes, my record releases, collaborations. Also, some of the publications I have released with have only done SoundCloud and not Spotify, but all of my self-releases and most of my label releases are on all major platforms. But
and what name can they find it under?
Yeah, so that's going to be under Die by the Sword, and then all my socials are going to be at DBTS Bass. Shoot me a follow, shoot me a message. I'll be sure to say, hey, we could shoot the shit. And yeah, any upcoming releases, upcoming shows will be posted on there.
Nice, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to come hang with me for a bit. This definitely went longer than an hour, but that was great, man. I really enjoyed just kind of sitting here chatting with you.
Yeah, you as well, man. Definitely effortlessly went over an hour. Not surprised. But yeah, looking forward to finishing our tune and then seeing you out here for a show maybe in Colorado.
Yeah, man, I'll definitely try to make it out this week for your Black Box show.
Yeah, let me know, man. I will. I'll be there with a bunch of good people. So if you want to stop by, yeah, and plus like you're working on it too, a Widow too. So that'd be sick if you made it. But no hard feelings if not, and I'm sure I'll see you soon, bro.
Awesome, my brother. Well, I really appreciate you, man. I hope you have a great rest of your day.